Okay, well, it's 1 o'clock, so let's get going. One, I want to thank everyone for attending this Limo Anywhere webinar on local market domination, how chauffeur companies can own their city online. We've got with us three marketing experts to walk you through everything from claiming your Google My Business listing to learning more about how to rank organically for local searches with local intent and showing up in the different AI tools so that you can get as many booked rides as possible. Uh, with that, I'm going to pass it over to Brian Mattingly, our VP of Marketing, and enjoy the show.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Excited to be here. We have a lot of things happening in the world of marketing right now, so it's really great that our operators here are taking the time out of their day to really get locked into some of the changes that we're experiencing as we try to grow revenue in 2026. So, as Josh mentioned, we have three kind of core topics. We're going to kind of dive in on the periphery on some of these and dive in deep on others. But one of the interesting things we're going to share today, just to get you guys thinking, is we're going to share some 2026 data that's recently come out on how to be found in search and the different components, and that includes AI. We'll look at kind of the weighted things we need to be doing for AI, also for Google Map Pack, and lastly for conversion. How do we get people that are showing that hey, we're a good opportunity for their transportation needs, and how do we get them to convert? And so we'll show you some of the data that's come out for 2026 around that. So I've got two amazing people with me. Three, actually, I should take that back. Three with Josh, of course. But Brian Kalinowski, if you all have been around Limo Anywhere for a while, he is one of our great account executives helping guide and lead our clients to the right solutions to help them grow revenue and book more rides. We've got our expert director of SEO online here with us, Don Phelps. If you haven't heard him speak before, Don is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to being found and growing revenue and booking rides. And then, of course, behind us, we have a large team of expert marketers, more than 70 people behind the scenes that work on the marketing platform to help our Limo Anywhere operators grow and thrive in the digital world. So that's the team. So Brian and Don will kind of be chatting back and forth on certain things, and I'm going to bring Brian in to start. And by the way, throughout this conversation, let me just make a quick note. His link will be in the chat. So if you want to dig deeper, look at some specifics to your business, do some analysis around your markets, he's the guy. Get on his calendar and book a few minutes with him, and he'll take you through some of the things we're talking about today. So reputation is one of the things that's risen up really, really big over the past 18 months, how your reviews are and how people see you, and of course, how AI agents interpret you because they're looking to evaluate you. So reputation is probably one of the biggest things or biggest topics in the marketing world right now. So Brian, 90% of consumers say online reviews influence their purchasing or booking decisions. Let's talk through this and let's talk through these other couple bullets as we start to set the stage for what we're going to cover today.
Yeah, definitely. We all know how the importance of reviews in the business, especially when people don't have a referral, which is what you're looking for when you're doing marketing. When you do marketing, your referrals, your repeat business, that never hurts it. It just gets more top of the funnel customers. Reviews not only important in that decision making process, as you all know, but they just put more fuel on the digital marketing fire. Their map optimization, which is a huge part of being relevant and being visible online. Reviews will help that. They'll help your quality score with your ads. They'll run more often and for less money. They'll AI. We're going to talk about AI a lot today, and what's going on with search and how it's changing. And how right now 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3, depending on who you ask, those searches are starting on AI. If you went to say your local city and typed in the best limo companies, what are the best limo companies for corporate travel, you're going to list. And if you asked how they got that information, I guarantee you're going to see the word reviews all over the place. So reviews are hugely important. They become more important than ever. They're literally your digital word of mouth for these AI agents. So, everybody should be doing it, whether it's through us or any other company, and being relevant and getting those reviews. It's going to help every part of your digital marketing.
Yeah, that's great. And for those of you who don't know, of course, in the LA suite of tools, we have the add-ons product, which actually is, I would say, is a must turn on if you can, because that's going to ask everybody how you did once you perform a service and give you the opportunity to really drive additional reviews there. But reviews, as Brian's like just kind of locked in on, it's all over the map right now. It's influencing people, whether they, even if they find you on digital, are they gonna pursue you? And we're gonna look at that here moving in the next slide, is some of the new fresh data that's come out just on conversions. And there's a company called Whitespark that does a lot of data work in the marketing world, and they pulled some of the 2026 factors, and conversion is one of them. Just exactly to Brian's point, once people find me, best limo company in Albuquerque or whatever it is, and they find me, they're going to make a decision on whether they pursue me, and there's certain things that actually influence that decision. I've given you 10. This is White Spark's 2026 top 10 of things you need to consider to get that conversion. So even if you have a great digital marketing strategy, if you don't have some of these components nailed, they're going to fall off. The potential client's going to fall off before they actually book with you. So I've kind of put these little red check marks next to all the things that talk about reviews. The number one weighted score is having a high numerical Google review rating. That's the number one thing. You can see the weight of it. It's huge. And then secondly is sentiment and review text. So those are just, as you're thinking about this list, and you can study it, and I'm sure this will be available post this webinar, but think about the things that people are doing according to this data and this research to convert. So Don, I'm going to bring you in here if you're okay with this.
Sure.
We're talking about conversion. We talked about reviews in here. What other things in this list do you want to highlight or call out that we as operators should be thinking about if we're going to take somebody from, the thought of me to actually booking and creating revenue for me?
Yeah, well, Brian has talked about the reviews and the local presence, and that really starts with your Google business profile, that Maps profile. It's critical because I know we've been talking about reviews a lot, but it's the single most it's the one factor that helps with both visibility and conversion, right? There's no doubt, and it starts on your Google business profile with those reviews and making sure that your Google business map profile is optimized correctly. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I think Brian's going to have some things a little bit later about that, but it's your GBP profile. And hopefully you every one of you will have one. It's important, if you don't have one, to get one created. Because that's really where a lot of things start, where the Google business profile, it works with your website. And we'll talk about your website and core web vitals as well. But it's critical making sure that Google business profile is optimized correctly.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, Don. And you're 100%. I'm going to ask you a question because I get this question a lot, but just backing up, 5 out of 10 of the top things that, turn consumers looking into revenue are tied to reviews, and it starts with your Google business profile. And my question is this: I actually got this in a conversation the other day. Is there are other review sites out there, even Facebook, where you can leave reviews. Yelp, we hear a lot about. People like it, they don't like it. I don't know. What should we be thinking about the third-party rankings? Because that does show up on number 9 here. Is some of the third-party review sites.
Absolutely. The first place we always want to be at, of course, is your Google business profile, right? But other trust sites like Facebook, Trustpilot, places like that, Yelp, you want to have reviews everywhere possible, because you got to remember, it's not just for Google or Bing for the search engines anymore. It's for those AI agents, right? ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, there's quite a few of them out there, and they're pulling from everywhere. And they're pulling from trusted sources, and they want to see, they're looking for those reviews. All right. And it's critical to have, because you have to remember this, especially on the transportation business. The typical user is going to look at about 10 different reviews before they make a decision. Typically, depending on what the service is, airport pickup or whatever it might be, but they're going to be looking at. So you want to have as many reviews, and of course, as many places that you possibly can be. But again, it starts with that Google business profile. No doubt about that.
That's such good insight. question comes up all the time. I'm sure that's on some of our listeners' minds here. All right, so moving forward. So these are things that impact conversion. We're going to look at some other data that's fresh for 2026 when it comes to being found on Google Map Pack and also in AI search. But I do want to bring Brian Kalinowski back in here just so we can just lay the foundation of a couple words and terms to be thinking about. So when we talk about intent-based search, and this is a consumer that's looking for your service online, versus interest-based search. Can you just tell us the difference there so when we say those things, people understand what we're saying?
Yeah, I mean, search equals intent, right? They're, and these are people that don't have a referral, because if they were, if they had a referral, they would type in, or they're a repeat customer, they would type in the name of that actual company. There's still, our data shows that it's 20-30% higher as far as the industry than pre-COVID levels. But data also shows that there's a lot of competition. So, having that digital footprint is what separates for the people that don't have the luxury of knowing you. There's different ways to go about this, whether it's paid and organic. And organic, we're talking about the map, because we're doing map optimization in the area below that. Typically, where majority of the searches come, just takes a little longer. Where your ads, you get to cut the line at Google, and definitely easier to have, say the sniper rifle approach to the shotgun approach. We're doing some great things with ads. You've chances are most of you have not had the opportunity to work with a company that's running ads that has the ability to look into your software and sync with your software. Not only does that help us with tracking, but we're doing lookalike audiences. What that means is we're looking into your customer base, and we're matching that same demographic. And for your corporate, your board directors types, one of the things we found is it's usually their admins or event coordinators doing it for them that are booking these rides. It only makes sense to target them. So it just depends what's the best fit for you. Is it, if it's a long-term play, you want to get started now. That's where usually the benefits are financially a lot better in the long run. You just got to be patient. Where ads, you have that, cut the line effect. AI, chances are you're already thinking about AI. Some of you may have seen some organic traffic from your sites decline. And it could be because of decline in SEO, but more than likely it's because these people, all people, are going to other platforms. 1 out of 4 searches are starting on ChatGPT. You've probably seen Gemini on the top of your search pages for Google. Those are called non-click searches, right? The learning language models, they're giving people, exactly the information they need. What are the best limo companies for corporate? Which ones include a car seat? If I'm going to a theme park, what's the best for family travel? So the search is changing. There's non-click searches. There's people typing things into ChatGPT. 70% of people are using ChatGPT as an search engine. 60% are using it for purchasing. So it's definitely where the world's going. AI Mode, that's Google's competitor, ChatGPT. It just came out in July. It's going to be here to stay. And there's, of course, other players such as Copilot, and Don mentioned a few more. We're in the wild, wild west days of AEO. Just imagine when SEO started, gosh, decades ago. So we're seeing, AEO optimization, happening a lot faster. I've done reports on some sites, that where they haven't really gone to AEO, but yet it's starting to show up in some what they call AI mentions. So you want to get ahead of that. Think of, when SEO just started, things are moving a lot faster, and, now it takes a little bit longer. AEO is going to be, I don't want to say the next frontier, because it's already here.
Right. It certainly is. So great insight. All these things we talked about, intent versus interest. One thing that I know our team does, and I think a lot of other companies may do the same thing, is we blend the two. If we're running digital ads, we run not just an intent-based Google search, but we follow it with remarketing on things like Instagram and Facebook to really try to connect the dots with the user. Don, before I pass it back to you, my next slide is all about, I believe, the map pack search, and then we'll show those 2026 data points, Brian, that you're alluding to with AI. It's going to be really helpful for this group. but I would be crazy not to at least spend 1 or 2 minutes on websites, Don, because, this is the foundation of any digital strategy. So we talk about the tech stack. We talk about having the right core vitals. If you haven't updated your website in the past 18 months, you're probably missing out on some opportunities. Give us just a couple of quick highlights before we move into some of the rich data that we have for 2026 on websites.
Yeah, when it comes to the tech stack that you're using, whatever platform that you have your site hosted on right now, you want to make sure that it has fast core web vitals. And when I say that, basically, how fast does that site load? How fast does that banner image load when someone comes to your, whatever landing page that you're trying to get them to? And that's what it comes down to, because we've talked about AI a lot here so far, right? And the AI agents, they love fast websites, so they look. So that's another reason of how to get into those AI mentions. That's they're having fast core web vitals. And again, how fast is that site loading? Okay, it's the structure of your site. All right, you want to make sure that you've got the right structured content. You want to make sure that you've got the correct landing pages. You want to make sure. Brian already hit on this here, AEO and AIO and all those different new acronyms outside of just SEO. It's all still comes down to the same core foundations, but now you want to become the answer. You don't, when someone asks a question like who's the best limo company, or who provides transportation service to such and such airport, or who does wedding, things like that, you want to become the answer. And that's really where the big difference from the traditional SEO, and having the website vitals, the structured content, and answering those questions on that, on your website goes a long way in helping, of course, with the traditional search engines, and of course with those AI agents.
Yeah, it's so good.
And you want to make sure, and you want to make sure that you're again, when we say, the speed of the site, we want to make sure the mobile side. All right, a lot of people still forget about the mobile side. You want a clean, clear, concise mobile version, and you want to make sure that it lines up whatever the desktop or the pad version looks like too as well. So.
That's great. Great insight. So really just thinking about your website is always top of mind and always so important. All right. So here's some of the fresh data I was talking about. Thanks for that, Don, is the local map pack. And so when I say the local map pack, there's a certain picture on the left-hand side of my screen here. That's what I'm talking about. Are you showing up when people in a region are searching for black car service or whatever, they're searching for? And are you on that map with a pin and your name? So one thing I know, and Don, you can probably tell me a lot more about this. I know you have great experience here. The first 3 organic search results in the map pack get most all the traffic. Is that a fair comment? I got 68.7% on the data here.
And that is correct. The top 3 get most of the traffic. Yes.
And is it true too? If you're running paid ads and you've got the organic listing, so you've got a paid ad on top, and then you're in the top 3 on organic, like what does that mean for volume?
Oh, well, if you're in the paid ads, just think about this. If you're doing paid ads, you've got the map side, you're showing up in the maps pack that Brian has shared here. And also with your website being a part of that as well, now you're taking up a lot more real estate on that first page. So that increases the percentage of chances of a client clicking on you, one of your assets. It goes up from, the top 3 from 68%. We've seen case studies where it comes out that if you cover all 2 or 3 of those areas, you're up in the 90% percentile that someone's going to click on there. You're going to get a lead.
Yeah, really powerful. All right, so let me move over to the right-hand
Yes.
side again. This is the White Spark report that just came out. We just got our hands on this, and this is talking about, what are the weighted factors to end up organically in the map pack. And Don, you already nailed it. 227 of the highest weighted score is your primary GBP, and making sure your category is right. That's so easy, and we see that so often where people don't have it aligned properly. So that's the number one thing people can do. Can you talk a little bit more about like keywords in GBP and making sure that address is right as well? Because those are like the top 3 and 4.
Sure. Yeah, we want to make sure, we call it the NAP, the NAP, the name, address, and phone number. And we want to make sure that name, address, phone number is consistent on your Google Maps profile and everywhere else, your website, Facebook, LinkedIn profile, if you have a company page, anywhere where your company is mentioned and it has the availability to have the name, address, and phone number in it, you want to make sure it's consistent across everywhere. Okay. And then also in reference to the reviews, in reference to keywords, it's not just the review that you're getting from the customer, it's how you respond to those reviews. You want to make sure that you're mentioning, of course, the client's name. You want to mention what type of service. Was it, it's a black car service? Where'd you take them to? Airport, the Boston International Airport, wherever it may be. You want to make sure that you're putting those keywords inside of that your review response. All right. And because it weighs heavy. Okay, it's critical. And also when it comes down to reviews, it's not just some of you all probably have asked someone, I've got 300 reviews, but such and such has only got 185 and they're above me in the map pack. Why? Well, maybe you haven't got a review in 6 months, but they're getting consistent reviews week after week. So it's consistency. Okay, so you want to be
Yeah.
relevant and you want to be consistent and on that Google business profile and refreshing that data and getting reviews. And it goes a long way.
I'm so glad you said that. So two things. So number 11 on this list from the data we pulled is recency of reviews. So do you have recent reviews? But number 14 is about influx of reviews over time. Like what Don said, consistency on review pulling reviews into the GBP or, that is very, very meaningful. A lot of times we'll see clients like, oh man, I'm down on my reviews. So they'll run like some kind of stint to try to get a ton of reviews at once. And it'll show up, and that's actually a negative flag for Google. So it's something this is a great thing about add-ons with LA, is like it's always asking every time we perform a service, in a consistent cadence. So really important. If you haven't had the chance to read all these, study these, we'll make sure you get a copy of this presentation, but please look at this 2026 data. It's really, really important. And I'm going to pivot now into the AI side of it, because this is what we get asked about probably 16 times a day. Is okay, what can I do? What can I do to be found in AI? And I've pulled the top 15 according to the 2026 data, things that we should be doing to be found when somebody's searching, whether it's on Gemini or whether it's on ChatGPT or whatever. But 4 of the top 15 are tied to reviews here too. So I hope that everybody understands this thread that I'm weaving through this discussion. Reviews are really, really powerful. The first couple, it's funny, we were just having a conversation a little earlier. The number one factor here, the highest weight, is something that used to be a big deal that's now a big deal again. And it's being found on like expert curated best of lists. Like if somebody's doing a travel blog and it's an expert travel blog and they mentioned a transportation company. These are things we used to talk about 8-9 years ago, but it's back now that AI is in the mix. Don, you want to touch on this just a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It's something that it was years ago that was very popular, and the search engines used them, and now they're back. These AI agents, they use these best of lists, and so the big thing about this is finding those and finding the ones that are reputable and authoritative. There'll be a lot of ones out there that are on the less trustworthy type of sites. So you want to make sure that you get found on the ones that are reputable and carry some authoritative weight.
Yeah, it's great. And I know, we look at websites, and again, Brian's link's in the chat, I believe. You can get his link and take a look at the website. Number 2 is really important. And we look at this a lot with our clients, is making sure we create dedicated pages for service in certain instances. So having a dedicated page for, if you're doing airport transportation, if you're doing weddings, having service pages really helps when it comes to the AI visibility. So you can go back and study this list. I would encourage everyone to take a read on this and see what you're doing today and how does it stack up. Because again, this is the 2026 data that's showing up now of how do we get found in AI-driven search. So really powerful. Again, we just got our hands on that just the other day. I'm heading us home because I know we only have a few minutes left. But how do you turn reviews? This common thread that we're weaving through this discussion, how do we turn them into dollars, right? And so we've talked, of course, if you're doing all the things, you're going to get found on search. That's always going to translate to dollars. But one of the things a tool that we always encourage our clients to use, and we have it in our platform, and there's other platforms that have this as well, but it's tools that actually go in and study all the comments of reviews. So if you have 800 reviews, these AI tools will go in there and tell you, like, what are the common words? What are the sentiments we're seeing? And it gives your team the chance to make your operation better. So if you want to keep loyal clients and you want to grow your business, it's always about keeping loyals and adding new, then figure out what's being said organically about your business through the reviews, and how do you use that to change and benefit your operation? Again, we have a tool called Pulse AI in our platform that will study all the reviews, social media mentions, things like that, to help you shed some light and put the magnifying glass on some areas you could work on operationally. The other thing I would say, a lot of our clients, are really good at this. Just having, ask their driver would, if they get the driver's name mentioned in the review, that's a way to make people feel good, because hey, if I ask you as Brian for a review, and we look at this as a team and it's meaningful for you to mention my name, that makes me more inclined to give you a review. So we see that a lot of times with a lot of our operators, is they'll certainly lay it out where, hey, if you please mention one of our team members if they've done a great job for you. So that's it. And then just kind of lastly, before I start really kind of bringing us home, like, social proof, right? Like if you're doing anything in the community, highlight that. If you're doing anything with clean vehicles, highlight this. And so one of the things we talk about here is social media. So do you have an Instagram page? Do you have a social Facebook page? Don, I get asked every day, how often should I be posting on an Instagram page? I'm a limo business. Do they really care if I'm posting? And the reality is there's no magic number. It's about consistency, right?
It's consistent from the Google Business Profile posting to your Facebook, and you want to make sure the message is the same across the entire, whatever your portfolio is of assets that you have that you may be posting on, that you're carrying the same brand message across those platforms.
Right. Look, let's say you did some charitable event. We have some clients that I saw over the holidays doing some pretty cool things, some transportation tactics in a charitable way. What a great message to not only serve out to people, but also to serve out to the things that people would decide if I'm going to choose you and convert with you. So finding those right tools and being consistent, and of course, as we've hit on really hard here, making sure if you're going to post on Instagram, also put that post on Google Business Profile, and so that's it. So lastly, just some additional actions. Respond to all reviews. Don, what's the number? I heard last time you want to respond to 90% of all reviews. That's a positive for Google.
Well, yeah, you want to respond to at least 90%. You want to respond to all of them, whether they're positive or negative. You want to try to get to every single review, response if you can. Absolutely.
Okay. And it is an impact. It's something that an AI agent or a Google algorithm might look at. Are you responding? So we talked about using tools like add-ons to ask for reviews after service. Find a tool that, one of the things I would encourage everybody, you need to post on social media, right? Whether it's Google Business Profile, Facebook, Instagram, find a tool that can do this for you. There is a lot of automation now. We have one where AI can write the post. You can do the whole month in 15 minutes to get it done. But have a plan for posting organically. Again, if you're posting every 2 weeks, fine, but just be consistent with every 2 weeks, that kind of thing. Always be optimizing your Google Business Profile. By the way, Josh Anderson did a great job. I think he dropped it in the chat of this meeting. He's written some really powerful blogs on Google Business Profile, and I think there's some links in the chat. So if you want some more information on the power of Google Business Profile and how-tos, we have put that in the chat of this meeting for you as well. Just so you know, just a couple quick things. One of the things we get a lot from our clients is, hey, the marketing, it's in so many places now. I got to post on Instagram. I got to get into my Google Business Profile. I got to see my digital ads over here. I got to do this over there. One of the things that we've done at LA and we've really locked in on is bringing one portal, one platform where you can do all of it. And so we call it GTX. So if you're one of our clients, you've likely seen this, but finding a tool that helps you do things is really powerful. AI is real. These are some practical ways. In our platform, you can use AI to do social posting. You can use AI to respond to reviews. If you want to respond to 100% of your reviews, we don't have enough time in the day to do that manually. We have to use tools like AI to do that. And we have that in our platform as well. And then we talked about the operational efficiencies. All right, Brian. So I know, again, there's not one size fits all for everybody here. So if somebody gets on your calendar and you dig into their website, or you dig into their SEO, or dig into their paid strategy, what are you going to tell them, and how's that going to look?
Yeah, so there's definitely different options available. We have a basic package. If you're just looking to get a website that's built the way that the engines and the AI agents want it built, maybe you have a site that's has it was a technology created a few decades ago. the website has so much to do with optimization and performance, and of course, AEO these days. And of course, the ability to request a quote or book online, whatever works best for your business. You should have calls to action everywhere. Maybe you want to run your own ads, or you just want the right tool, for the job, for your SEO, and start getting those reviews. There's definitely other features involved, like AI social proof, as well. The basics for you. If you want to cut the line at Google, right, and get the and get up in that sponsored section, that's where the rocket is. And then the booster, it's SEO, it's Rocket, it's AEO optimization, it's everything that we do. It takes the auction on the market. We can also just do a pure SEO, AEO campaign if that's better fit for your business. So it's really just what's important to you is, do you want to be ranked organically? And in that map section, that's where a lot of the traffic comes from. Or is it more of a, say cut the line at Google type of thing? We're gonna have the service that's going to fit into what works best for your business.
Thank you for sharing that. So again, I encourage you, even if today's not the day you're looking to do something, at least get on Brian's calendar to take a learn to how you're performing now. If you do decide that you do want to do something, now's the time. First 10 attendees, I think Josh put this in there for us. You can scan that QR code if you have your phone and you're on a laptop, and get on his calendar to get as one of those first 10 attendees to book a strategy call, because you'll save yourself some money on the way we build these things out. Unfortunately, we're not going to have questions, time for Q&A. I think, Josh, if we can collect the questions in the Q&A, we'll make sure Brian's armed with some answers. So if you call and he can answer those questions individually, we'll also look at some potential blog opportunities based on the questions you've sent in, to see what you guys are interested in. We're always looking for feedback on product. We're looking for feedback on marketing. We're looking for feedback on things you think would be helpful for your business at all times. So, Josh, I'm going to pass it back to you to close us out here.
All right. Thank you, Brian. We'll respond to all the questions you guys submit in the Q&A section. It looks like there's one or two now. We'll send an email out in the next 48 hours, and I'll make sure we address this in there. We'll also include the blog links that Brian talked about. Both of these are these are not blogs that are trying to sell anything. They are just useful how-tos on how to get your Google My Business listing set up, and some of the things you can do on your own to help improve your chances of appearing in AI results. Brian, Don, Brian, thank you for your time and your effort today. Like I said, this is a recorded session, so we'll share that video with you guys in the next 24 hours. And I thank everybody for their time.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Thank you.